Hello, it's Monday. And on Mondays, we do midday mindfulness moments. So, welcome so much. I hope that you are enjoying a beautiful day and that you had a nice weekend. And if you celebrated Mother's Day for yourself, for your own mom, for any mother figures in your life, I hope that you had a really nice time celebrating and felt very special. Hi, Mom. My mom just logged in. We didn't get a chance to see her, but we sent her some greetings, and hopefully she knows she is loved. So, mwah, 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 mwah. So today is all about loving, right? It's all about cultivating self-compassion, and self-compassion it's a practice. It's kind of hard. There's a lot of resistance to it sometimes because it's easier for us to feel down on ourselves and to harbor these negative or unpleasant thoughts about ourselves, criticizing, shaming the way we do things. The thoughts we have in our head. And so having some discipline in the practice and some restraint, following these habits that have always led to destructive outcomes. And when I say restraint, it doesn't mean be resistant to the presence of these unpleasant things in your life. It just means notice them, but don't get sucked into them the way you always have. Change your neural habits, change your way of thinking, your way of being, so that you can be more supportive of your well-being. Another step in self-compassion is forgiveness. And we've done some forgiveness exercises together here. And anytime you have a chance to free yourself from what has happened in the past so that it's not contaminating your future, it's detaching from the pain and the suffering of that past event that we can't change. We can't do anything to rewrite the past. So why do we harbor it? Why do we hang on to it? So forgiving yourself is one of the steps to self-compassion. And then just practicing, just really being conscious of the process of self-loving and self-acceptance unconditionally, and just put it to practice. Keep going every day. Notice when you're catching yourself being unkind to yourself, and then replace it with something that is loving and supportive. All right. The mantra today that I'd like you to hold with you, one that I invited people to use in our self-compassion yoga practice this morning, is when I accept myself, I am freed from the burden of needing anyone else to accept me. When I accept myself, and you can easily say when I love myself, when I accept myself, you could substitute any word that serves you best. When I love and accept myself, I am freed from the burden of needing anyone else to love and accept me. And of course, you are so loved and so accepted by so many people in your life, but it all begins with you. You must love and accept yourself before you're even willing to invite that love and acceptance in from others. So hold that as your mantra today during our practice. And the practice that we're going to do today, the self-compassion practice, comes from Kristin Neff. She is the leading researcher, her along with her partner, Chris Germer. They're the leading researchers of self-compassion. She's published a lot of books. She has a wonderful website with some very accessible exercises that help guide you on this path and practice of self-compassion. And this is one that I enjoy. It's called How Would You Treat a Friend? So if you have a moment to just grab something to write with, grab a piece of paper, just a scratch piece of paper. Go ahead and get that now. Take your time. And while you're getting that, just know that all of the principles of self-compassion all rest in the ancient principle of ahimsa. So when you study yoga, you learn all about the yoga yamas and niyamas, which are the yamas are the moral restraints. It's a code of being out in the world. So yoga is more than just getting your body in physical postures. It's really a lifestyle. It's how do you present yourself in the world? How do you interact with yourself and others? And one of the yamas outlined in the ancient texts of yoga is ahimsa, which means non-harming or non-violence. So we want to live in harmony rather than in harm with ourselves, with others in our life, with the universe as a whole. And harm can come in many different manifestations. It could come in physical ways of harming yourself. It could come emotionally, verbally. So when you think about not harming yourself, you think about being kind to yourself. it's more than just the choices you make. It's the ideas you entertain. It's the words that you find yourself saying to yourself. It's any shame or disgrace that you welcome and allow festering after, as you're going through life. So just be very mindful, be very present for the voice in your head, and whether it's serving you well by being uplifting and supportive and loving and kind and gentle and patient, or is it beating you up? Is it dragging you down? Is it taking you down a dark road where you feel shamed? All right. So ahimsa. This all comes from ahimsa. And just one more note about that: when you are not being kind to yourself, when you are beating yourself up verbally or making emotional choices that affect you physically, I think about overconsumption of whatever. It triggers the stress response in your body. So it's your body reacts the same way as it would if you had just gotten in a car accident or watching your house burn down. It triggers that stress response in the body, and it causes a whole chain reaction of unpleasant physical manifestations of that. So stress, when you are mean to yourself, when you harbor unpleasant thoughts about yourself, when you're critical and judgmental of yourself, just know that you're reacting your stress response, and that again can be really dangerous to your overall health. So putting that aside, everyone has something to write with. Everyone has some scratch paper. All right. So this exercise, again, it's called How Would You Treat a Friend? I want you to first think about, and maybe you close your eyes and settle in. If you think more clear and crisper with your eyes closed. If you do better with your eyes open, keep your eyes open. But think about a time when a very close friend, or maybe a really trusted and loved family member, came to you to let you know that they were struggling in some way. Right? Just bring to mind a time when someone said, "I really need to talk to you. I'm having a hard time in life." No matter what the situation presented to you was or is, think about some of the things that you would say to this loved one, maybe things that you said to this loved one. This could be hypothetical or it could be factual. And just start to make a list on, maybe make a line down the middle of the page on the left-hand side. Just make a list of some of the tender phrases that you would offer to a person, a loved one, a best friend, a family member who was suffering. What are some of the things that you might say to them? Just take a few moments. We're writing down the things on the left column, words that we would offer to a friend or a loved one in need if they came to you looking for advice or just came to you to talk about suffering. Take another 30 seconds. Knowing you, I see all you who are signed in. You are very kind hearted. I know you could probably write forever. All right, start wrapping up that list. And then begin to think about, just kind of clear that out of your mind. And now bring to mind a time when you've suffered, right? When you're not feeling so good about the way things are going in your life and felt you're really struggling, felt yourself in pain. Think about how you typically respond to yourself in those situations. So on the right hand side, just make a list of, or maybe the tone that you use when you find yourself suffering or struggling. Just put on the right hand side what you would say or do with yourself. Take about 30 more seconds, noting anything that comes up. And then just take a moment to look at the two lists. Is there anything that you notice that's similar? Anything that you notice that's different? This is when I wish we had a more interactive platform on which to share this, but you're welcome to drop a comment down in the box, just letting me know if it looks about the same or if it looks different. And if it looks different, why do you think it's different? What factors are coming into play to influence the way you interact with a loved one, someone different from you versus the way you interact with yourself, your own being, the only person you're truly going to be with your entire life? Right? Why is it different? And so I'm going to make an assumption here because I can't see your lists. It is quite typical for people on the left-hand side to write very, very tender, sweet, love and compassion-filled expressions to support the suffering of others. Yes, Jeremy, thank you for being honest about that. Yes, yes. Harsher on your own side of the list, not as many remarks. Thank you so much for sharing that. The left side is always going to be filled with love and kindness and tenderness. Even if your mind is finding yourself being judgy or critical of the choices that your friends made. Very different, Melanie. Thank you. The things that we say are true, authentic expressions of love are to help remove the suffering of our friends. We don't want to see them struggle. We don't want to see them in pain. But yet, on the right side, we very much support and propagate the suffering and pain by continuing to be critical of ourselves, right? We just dig that hole deeper. We stomp ourselves down into the hole even. And why, right? Why do we allow ourselves the space to beat ourselves up, to not be tender and compassionate in our own struggling, but we are so generous with that with other people? And that's what Kristin Neff and anyone who's ever written anything about self-compassion really wants to wake you up to. Wake you up to this idea that you are just as worthy of the love and the kindness from your own mouth and mind and heart as your very best friend or your daughter or your mom or you just anyone in your life. But yet we continue to fall into these habits of being self-destructive and beat ourselves up and to say things to ourselves that we would never in a million years say to anybody else. That is a pattern we need to nip right here, right now. Raise your hand, make a promise to me that you will be aware of every negative thought and word and emotion that you notice arising about yourself. And in that moment, when you notice it, you will replace it with a kind, sincere, supportive expression, maybe a compliment. Maybe it's just, I am enough, right? It doesn't have to be overly glitzy. Just, you know what? I'm doing the best I can, and I am enough. And remember, when you learn to love and accept yourself, you free yourself the burden for needing other people to offer that to you. It all begins with you. And it begins with you being aware of the thoughts, the words, the emotions that you hold for yourself. May they always be filled with love, kindness, and compassion, exactly as you would offer to a loved one or even a stranger. We speak to ourselves much harsher than we would even speak to a passerby, right? Because we know that that's not how to treat people. So let this be the beginning of how you treat yourself. Let this wake you up to your patterns and your habits so that you can continue to find space to support yourself through all of your life. Nikki, you are enough. Mwah. Absolutely. All right. So that's all I have for you today. Again, this exercise is called How Would You Treat a Friend? You can go to Kristin Neff's website. Neff is how you spell her last name. And she has about 10 different self-compassion exercises that she can guide you on. You can get the script for them or you can hear the audio version. And it's just a great practice to fold into your self-care habits so that you are truly holding kind, compassionate, loving space for yourself. Do no harm. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for practicing with us today. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment box. As always, you are more than welcome to practice yoga with us. All week this week, we are doing self-compassion. Every day, it's a slightly different angle, and those classes are absolutely free. 9 a.m. You can find them on my website, eatyogadrink.com. Click on schedule, and boom, there you go. You are very welcome. Thank you guys so much. I'm grateful for each of you for practicing with us today. Namaste.